As many of you know, the word gospel comes from the Greek word for good news. And actually, the message of the gospel is good news indeed for us. Again, Jesus tells us in the gospel that all of us, even though we all are sinners, we do not have to pay the just consequences of our sin. We do not have to pay the just consequences, which would mean when we die, we would not be in God's presence. And the opposite of God's presence, well, I think we all know where that is. But because of Jesus, God will extend us mercy. And even though we don't deserve it because we are sinners, we will be able to be in God's presence forever by the sacrifice of Jesus, what he did for us on the cross. So that is good news. Good news that we don't have to pay the just consequence of our own sin. But sometimes the message in the gospel and other parts of the Bible does not always leave us as happy as that, as God's mercy. The book of Job is probably the oldest book in the Old Testament. And again, its basic message is one that does not always give us comfort. Basically, God is the all-powerful. And you know what God does? Whatever God wants to. However God wants to. Whenever God wants to. By whatever means God chooses. And whether we like it or don't like it, it doesn't really matter. Because God will do what God does for God's reasons. And that's the simple truth. And what Jesus reminds us too is we are all called to serve God. And that's important to remember. We serve God. God does not serve us. God's purpose is not to make us happy and give us everything we want, make sure nothing bad ever happens to us. That's not how it works. We are called to serve God, and that must be the most important reality in our lives. In the gospel, Jesus even used the comparison of our own families, because that's what those people were talking about, their duty and responsibility to their family. But our being a servant of God must come even ahead of our family. And you think about it, all of us, our families are very important to us, but God must be more important. So that's, again, this is about our duty and responsibility as believers. You know, part of what we do today is community service, where we're doing God's work. And what we're trying to teach at Ackland is to be servants of God above all else. And if you do serve God, then we have to serve one another and treat one another as we wish to be treated. Everyone is our neighbor. But again, the good news is Jesus gives us God's mercy. But the news that doesn't make us as happy is we have responsibilities and duties to serve God. And those responsibilities must be above everything else in our lives, even our families, even ourselves.